Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by visionary designer Ben Rousseau. Ben focuses on creating emotion-driven, how do you say that word? Aesthetically captivating lighting installations. Aesthetically. Okay, there you go. Aesthetically captivating light installations and timepieces. So he focuses on that. So we're going to be talking to him about everything that he's up to and what he creates and why he does it. And if he's, if anybody wants to reach out to him and get those aesthetically captivating light installations and timepieces. So Ben, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Curtis. Lovely to be here. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Brilliant.
Definitely glad to have you. Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Well, my name's Ben Rousseau. I am currently in the UK on the South Coast. I have an art and design studio I've been running since 2001, and I kind of specialize in illuminating people's lives with my work. And what I do with that is I kind of use emotion and interaction and connection to create beautiful, engaging experiences with the interiors that I create, the artworks, and some of the kind of artistic installations. So it's exciting work that has a connection with people and brings joy and excitement to their lives.
Well, what made you get started in this type of work?
I use this story quite a little bit that I grew up in England's oldest recorded town, where we have this old castle which is amazing detail, 2,000 years old. It's stooped in history, but as a young kid, I was just excited about how I was going to shape the future. I had a burning ambition to put my mark on the world creatively, and I loved the early James Bond films, and I had this interest in these futuristic buildings and these beautiful settings that you saw in the James Bond films. I loved all the gadgets. I loved the amazing cars. And there was something kind of voyeuristic, exciting, a little bit kind of almost fantasy-led, that allowed you to take us off into a new area that didn't exist. And I feel I had this imagination, and I wanted to take us into places that just didn't exist. So I had this burning ambition to move away from these historical places and create the future. And yeah, that's kind of where it all started from.
Well, tell us about some of the clients that you tailor your business towards.
So, when I left school, I went on to do an art and design course, and my interest was then just expressing my creativity. I was happy to discover how to just make people happy, and I remember the first few times seeing people's eyes light up when they were interacting with my work, and that was a real special kind of wow moment. And when I finished university, I was working for an events company, designing stages and putting on events and exhibition stands and designing kind of corporate experiential events, and seeing people interact with my work and and kind of guiding them on a journey that you could kind of plan was really exciting. And I know that the people using and experiencing my work were getting a real buzz out of it. And so I felt I'd found my calling. And as I kind of moved on from doing events at which was the first job that I got after university, I set up a studio creating interiors and artworks for some of these events companies, um, which allowed me to kind of continue creating these experiences for people. And it's something where I have a connection where I'm taking people on a journey which allows them to kind of be something they're not. You know, if we're designing an event or whether it's a bar or a restaurant or a hotel, you're kind of taking people away from their normal lives and giving them a new experience. And that was a really fun thing to do with my work.
Well,
And
talking.
I could tell you more about that and some of the different places I've created my work.
Yeah, do that.
So yeah, one place that was quite interesting, and I've been very lucky to have worked in many different exciting locations. But as a good example of something quite extreme, I worked at the Ice Hotel in Arctic Sweden, which is 200 kilometers up into the Arctic Circle, near a city called Kiruna. And there's a village called Jukkasjärvi, which is basically a beautiful little village set on the river. And the river flows really fast up there, which means that the ice sets really thick in the wintertime. It's over a meter in depth. So, it's kind of like over 3.5 foot thick. And they harvest the ice, make these amazing ice hotels with a bar, a church. They have hundreds of rooms to stay in and these beautiful artist suites where each room is designed by a different artist from a different country. And I've been lucky to go out there and work with this amazing team and create a unique room where you design the room, it stays open for a number of months for the winter season, and then during the summer, the ice and the whole hotel melts and runs back into the river, and then the next year you go back and create it again from scratch. And creating a hotel out of ice is a absolutely magical experience. It's hard work. It's very difficult. It's not something you can do a lot of training in because even moving these huge blocks of ice is quite a challenge. Is also quite dangerous because the ice weighs a lot, and if you slide it around, you can move these huge heavy bits of ice, but there's also you've got to know how to maneuver them because it's quite easy to have an accident if you're unprepared or unskilled, and the tools have to be super sharp to cut the ice. So you have these ice chisels and chainsaws, but we create these really beautiful environments that we put lighting into and create these unbelievably beautiful kind of magical environments made of ice. And it's a really, really breathtaking space to be and to entertain. And because I have a real passion for lighting design, the lighting element was something that I was really attracted to. And I've made some really beautiful rooms there. The first room was almost like it's like the inside of a spaceship. It's quite an organic room, and you'd have to kind of look back on some of my projects on my website because it's much easier to visualize it. But if you imagine it's a glowing room that you sleep on a bed with a mattress covered with reindeer skin, so you're effectively sleeping in a room made of snow and ice, and the temperature is -8 degrees. So what's that in Fahrenheit for you guys? It's pretty low, but as you can imagine, it's all made of ice, and it's a unique experience. And I've also created projects out in the desert in Burning Man. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with the Burning Man, and that is equally a majestic experience working with lots of very interesting, creative people in a quite hostile environment, as in working in a desert with extreme heat and dust, is has its own challenges. But once you overcome the challenges and you build your project, it's a very rewarding scenario when you get to see customers and just the party goers of Burning Man experience the work that you've created. So for me, a human connection with my work and is really essential. Without that human connection, my work almost it doesn't have a meaning or a purpose. It can stand alone as a beautiful piece of furniture or a beautiful sculpture, but unless that human interaction is there enjoying it, then I kind of feel my work has no fulfillment, if that makes sense.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. And it goes into my next question. Tell us about how lighting can touch human emotion and transform spaces.
Well, I think lighting is a magical thing for the senses, where it can just elevate and make someone light up with positive energy and goodness. I use let's say a description of I created a beautiful living room for someone, and have, let's say, feature details, that some shelving that can illuminate, overhead lighting, little pockets and details that illuminate a texture on the wall. And it's not until all these details come on at the right time, so the levels of lighting are really important. It's not like a bright light that fills you with too much of an intense light. It's very strategically positioned lighting, and the lighting powered in certain volumes, so that it's all at a nice ambience and a comfortable level. And when people see that and experience these rooms and settings, when I've dressed the lighting at a really perfect level, it just fills someone with this kind of perfect balance of happiness and positive energy. And there's so many different environments that I create, whether it's a domestic room or a house and a living room in a house, or whether it's a bar and a restaurant. They have very different needs for how the lighting should be dressed. So if I'm creating a nice restaurant setting, for instance, and I want that to be more of a, let's say, a romantic setting, the lighting tends to be much more intimate and much darker, and the textures are highlighted in very different ways. But the lighting is really what creates the atmosphere. And that room, let's say it's a beautiful restaurant, and if the lights were really bright and harsh, it wouldn't have this lovely, intimate, romantic feeling. So there's a means to make the lighting work in a certain way with the environment to create an emotion between the users, and that does take a lot of planning and expertise, but it's fun. And the what I say is what I declare as beautiful lighting is when someone actually can't quite tell how great the lighting is, because they're just enjoying the atmosphere and enjoying the space and enjoying the setting that they're in so much that they kind of don't notice why it's all so perfect and it's so enjoyable. If we were creating something for, let's say, a band or a DJ, and it needs to be much more energetic and up tempo, then we make the lighting have different rhythms that can be triggered by music and a different energy. And so, a space or an environment, we use lighting to create a different energy and a different kind of a different atmosphere. And so it does have an emotional connection, and it's just it's a really magical trigger for enhancing the senses. So it's a very visual thing, but you can kind of feel it in your heart. And I am blessed to be working with it. So I think there's a good point for me to steer people to my website or my Instagram page where they can see some of the work, because it's certainly a lot easier to see it in person and understand how that lighting benefit can be enjoyed.
Yeah, go ahead and throw out your website, your contact info.
Yeah, so my website is under www.benrousseau.com, which is spelled BenRous for sugar, EAU.com, or my Instagram, which is a good place to see a lot of my visual work, is at BEN_Rousseau, which is ROUSSEAU_studio. And if you to both go to either of those places, you'd see plenty of examples of my work, both commercial projects, some of my artworks. I'm a I'm a I'm a I'm a celebrator of all things that have encompass my use of lighting. So whether that's artwork or furniture or interiors, you'll see a clear direction where lighting has a means of enhancing it.
Well, tell us about the clocks that you create.
Yeah, so just excuse me one second. My timepieces are one of the most important pieces of work that I've been experimenting with over the last number of years. I'm very passionate about time and engineering and innovation, and this timepiece collection is called Tempus, and it is effectively a kinetic artwork that represents the time using a building pattern of light over a 12-hour time path. So I have what looks kind of like a familiar clock face, as in it's a round clock face. And then there's 60 illuminating seconds that run around the outside in a order. And as they constantly build, each second builds, and then the next builds, and the next builds. And as all 60 build, then the next minute will illuminate. So then we have 60 minutes on a middle ring, and then in the central ring we have 12 hours. And this is basically like a digital display of light that builds in a beautiful, hypnotic and kind of rhythmic pattern, which constantly changes throughout the day and the evening. And these timepieces are designed to be innovative, take inspiration from automotive and aviation engineering. I love beautiful car details. I love the rotational inspiration of machines like propeller blades and jet engines and even wheels on a luxury sports car. And I created these timepieces after making some static artworks, which were uh, designed to look like artwork from the Hotel of the Future, where I was kind of imagining that if in 50 years' time, what would the artworks look on the wall? Would we still be having paintings and various bits? And I kind of wanted to challenge myself to how would I decorate a futuristic building? And part of that would be with patterns of light and um, pieces that would kind of animate and give off a positive energy and almost have something kind of hypnotic or and kind of soothing about them. So if you're watching the seconds go by on my clocks, you could just sit and enjoy watching this calm pattern slowly pulse and build. When I've done shows at some of the hotel exhibitions that I've done, I've had people stood there and say, "Hey, I've been stood here just watching your clock for the last 20 minutes." There's something very soothing and calming about watching these patterns of light go round. And one thing that I do say to people is that what's important for me with these timepieces is, we've never been busier in our lives. Everyone is crazy busy. We've all got so much going on. We've got so many levels of communication. We've got email, we've got WhatsApp, Facebook, phone calls, text message. There's just so much going on. I've got Pinterest channels. I've got people communicate on, other sorts of art programs. And, it's exhausting even trying to find where you've had a conversation or you've been contacted by someone. And sometimes you just got to have some time to yourself. And, it's like being able to stop, appreciate we're healthy, I'm alive, the family are well. It's like I'm gonna have 5 minutes just staring, watching the clock go by, appreciating living in the moment. And I'm here now, I'm happy, and I'm gonna deep breathe for a bit. I'm gonna calm down. The world's good, and then it's relaxing. So for me, the timepiece, the Tempus collection is about appreciating living in the moment. It is about a piece of beautiful, highly engineered design, but it has a meaning to it, and that there is a connection that I want people to have. So again, these kind of pieces all have a common thread, which is this kind of lighting detail that has a connection with people, makes people feel calm, makes people feel happy and excited. The way that I make them with the materials and the engineering and these beautiful repeating geometries that I often use, all of these kind of ingredients are kind of noticeable through all of my work. So you will notice a lot of them have these repeating forms, and but they also have this common thread where they're designed to make people feel good, and they have a connection, which I think is very important. So I hope that that kind of makes sense when I'm trying to describe my work, because describing it on a podcast without the visual aspect is obviously missing one part. So hopefully you can use your imagination, listeners.
Absolutely. So tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Yeah, so I've got a brand new project which I'm really excited about. Is my Kiss My Art project, and that is it's basically a beautiful gift box that is designed for this Christmas, and obviously we have Valentine's then coming up after Christmas. So it's another gift that or it's another piece that has a connection, but it's what I'd like to call as a connection between almost between two lovers. So it could be for, let's say it's the let's say it's a the businessman. He wants to buy something special for his wife. He buys her this beautiful gift box. She doesn't know what's coming. So in the gift box, she has a piece of lipstick and a number of cards. And she basically applies the lipstick, kisses the card, leaves her print of her beautiful kiss on the card, puts it in her envelope, sends it back to me, and she doesn't know then what's coming. So it's a two-part gift sequence. I then receive the print of her kiss. I turn that into a beautiful artwork that I kind of manipulate to a degree, and then I cover it in 23 karat gold leaf. So it's a genuine gold, and it then turns into a glass artwork, which I frame, which is mounted on the wall as like a large artwork that celebrates the beauty of someone's partner, and so basically captures this beautiful set of lips that is, it's a kiss is a unique thing between a couple. You don't share your kiss with just anyone. So, and every kiss, like a fingerprint, has a very different print to it. So, every kiss is unique, every fingerprint is unique. And so I think it's a very intimate and special gift. And we've only been doing it for a number of weeks. I launched it actually at the Fred Siegel showroom, the Fred Siegel home store in Malibu. There's a wonderful showroom there. Team are brilliant, and you've got to go down there and have a look. So anyone in the California area, obviously, I suppose it's a fair old distance for you to get there on a train. How long would it take you to fly there or travel to Malibu?
I don't know, probably a couple of days. I'm in the Midwest, and that's on the West Coast. Uh,
Okay, yeah. Okay. Have you been there yourself?
no, I haven't been there.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's a lovely place. So you should put it on your checklist or your bucket list, as they say. Um, but so this gift it's available now. It's ready for the Christmas market. I've then also been doing which is more of it's meant for it's kind of more meant for the female or the partner. And I've done another gift, which is the, it's like the silhouette of a car. So potentially the car collector, the wife might decide to buy the husband a an artwork where I take a silhouette or a drawing of someone's car. It could be their old Porsche, or their old Corvette, whatever they might have, and they create a beautiful artwork in gold leaf that's almost like the highlight of the car. So if you imagine let's say it's a moonlit night and your car was on the road, and just the silhouette of the roof line and the bonnet and the kind of fenders and the wheel arches are all just highlighted in that moonlight. So it's a very delicate, beautiful kind of silhouette with some highlights on, which I would create in gold leaf, and generate this really unique image of a car. And that's a customizable service where I can take the image of any car and turn it into this unique artwork. So, again, my work is these pieces are following in the common thread of customization, you know, deep connection with that one person, because, I'm effectively making this one thing for that one person. And that for me is a very important connection between myself and them. That's something that, I don't just make work that's for anybody, that can go anywhere. It's like there is a big connection between myself and the person who's buying my work or commissioning this sort of piece that I'm doing. So, that's kind of really important for me. And I think it kind of makes it quite special. Does that make sense?
Yeah, benrousseau.com, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to hit up his website and check out his work. So close us out with some final thoughts, maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listener.
No, I think I think I've covered a few interesting bits. I'd love people to reach out and tell me what they think, and if everyone's got any special ideas, I'd love to hear how I could potentially help them. It's the world's an exciting place, and even if people are don't see the beauty in my work, but they see the design intelligence in it. That's something that I'd be I'm interested in. I like to think I sit somewhere between an engineer, an artist, a designer. I'm a creative, and I I want my work to be enjoyed by everyone, but sometimes it's probably not going to be everyone's taste because it is quite modern, and not everyone likes modern stuff. We live in England where lots of people still want to live in old castles, and Victorian buildings here are absolutely beautiful. And whereas, I choose to live in something super high tech and brand new. So it's the world is all about tastes. So anyone listening out there, everyone's taste is just as valid and important as everyone else's, and it's good to be different, and everyone is individual. And I just would just like to say to everyone, thanks for listening to my story and hearing what I have to say. And I'd be honored to hear what you think. Thanks very much for listening to me. And Curtis, thanks for your questions. It's been a lot of fun talking to you.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any feedback for Ben, or any guest suggestions, or any feedback for the show, Curtis Jackson 1978 is the place to send them. Jump on your favorite podcast app, follow us, leave a review, share this episode to as many people as possible, especially those who like the type of lighting and the timepieces that Ben is into. Check out benrousseau.com for more information. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Ben, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you ever so much, Curtis. It was lovely talking to you. Really appreciate it.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.